Sometimes, fear doesn't need to disappear, it just needs to walk beside faith. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Lila who dreamed of starting her own art studio. She had painted since she was a child, filling sketchbooks with color and imagination. But whenever she thought about showing her work to the world, a quiet voice whispered, "You're not ready yet." So she waited. Each morning, she promised herself, "Tomorrow I'll begin." And each night, she found another reason to wait. The money wasn't enough, the timing wasn't right, the fear was too strong. Months passed, then years. And though Lila's shelves filled with beautiful paintings, her heart grew heavier with what she hadn't dared to try. Her fear showed up in many ways, in small hesitations, polite excuses, and endless what-ifs. When friends asked about her dream, she smiled and said, "One day." But deep down, that day always felt far away. She watched others begin, small shops, new channels, tiny steps, and she envied their courage. Yet even then, fear sat by her side, whispering all the things that could go wrong. One afternoon, after another rejection from a local gallery, Lila sat at a small cafe, lost in thought. That's when her old art teacher, Mrs. Rowan, walked in, the kind of woman who carried peace in her presence, like a candle that never burned out. Mrs. Rowan noticed Lila's slumped shoulders and joined her at the table. "You look like someone trying to hold two heavy stones," she said gently. Lila sighed. "Fear and failure," she admitted. "I keep wanting to start, but the moment I think I'm ready, fear takes over." Mrs. Rowan smiled kindly. "Then maybe it's time you let fear meet faith." Lila frowned. "Meet faith? What does that mean?" The old teacher leaned back and told her a story, simple, but it stayed with Lila forever. "Long ago," Mrs. Rowan began, "fear and faith lived in the same village. Fear was strong, always running ahead, shouting warnings. Faith was quiet, always walking slowly, whispering hope. One day, a great storm came to their valley. Fear ran door to door shouting, 'Don't go outside. The wind will destroy everything.' And the people locked their doors, trembling. But faith stepped out into the storm. She planted small lanterns along the road so others could see the way home. When fear saw her, he yelled, 'You're foolish. The storm will blow you away.' But faith smiled and said, 'Maybe, but the light still matters.' By morning, when the storm had passed, people followed the lanterns out of their homes. They found their courage again, because one quiet act of faith had lit the darkness fear created." Mrs. Rowan looked at Lila. "The storm doesn't end before you act. It ends because you act." That night, Lila couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed the story, fear shouting, faith planting lanterns. She realized she'd been waiting for fear to vanish before beginning. But what if fear never went away? What if she could begin with it? The next morning, Lila posted one of her paintings online. Her heart raced. Her hands trembled. But she hit share anyway. Fear was there, whispering, "No one will care." Yet faith stood beside her, whispering, "Light the lantern." Days passed. To her surprise, a few people left kind comments. Someone even asked to buy a piece. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a viral moment. But something shifted inside Lila. She no longer waited for courage to feel perfect. She began to paint and post again and again, one quiet lantern at a time. And though fear still walked beside her, it had grown smaller. Because every step faith took, fear had to take one too, just a little behind. Courage isn't the absence of fear, the mentor's voice echoed in her mind. It's learning to move forward while fear watches from the corner. So if fear has been sitting beside you lately, don't wait for it to leave. Let it come along, just make sure faith leads the way. Because storms don't end by hiding. They end when you decide to light your first lantern. If this story touched you, like it to reach more people and share it with someone who might need a little faith tonight. I'll be back again with another tale to remind you, light always returns.